Yo, what's happening guys? Welcome back to a new video. Welcome back to Nibiru 92, where today we're going to be discussing my previous cars. I get this question asked all the time about my previous car lineup, my car history, what I've owned before, how I kind of worked my way up to the car I have now, and potential plans for the future. This is a question I've been asked a lot, and I just thought I'd make a video on it, explaining everything, explaining my car journey and how I got to the S3. That obviously is my current daily, and I'll just run you guys through chronologically of my first car all the way through my journey to the car I currently have now. All right guys, so I passed my test in 2014 March, and I had already been driving for a year prior to that, with obviously on L plates with people that have had their license for 3 years or more, etc, etc. Mainly like my dad and the odd friend here or there that would help me out. So I'd been driving a year before that anyway, and my first car was this beauty. Yeah man, we all got to start somewhere. My first car was a Corsa, just a 1.2. It literally, I remember buying it, I was so gassed it had a sports button, but literally all it did was turn the light on. So I don't think it affected the performance at all. If anything, that light drained the car of power, so the S might have been for slow. I had over 2,500 watts in the boot. The parcel shelf, literally, I went through I think 4 parcel shelves on that car, just where there was so much power in the boot in terms of amps and subwoofers. They'd spark and the parcel shelf would catch fire, so I'd have to reorder one. No performance, literally nothing. I drove that car for a year before I did my test, and then a year after I did my test. Cost me 950 quid, and I sold it. It had done 53,000 miles, and that was it. In the end, I sold it for the exact amount I bought it for, 950. So I didn't lose out on anything. Took all of my kit back out and, you know, sold it all off separately and whatnot. My first year of driving was done. I wanted to get that done and dusted out of the way and start, you know, upgrading. Which leads me on to car number 2, which was straight from the VW dealership. This was a 2013 Polo GTI. Take a look. So guys, this car was a lease. This was my first lease, and I put down 1,600 up front for it, and I was paying 255, if memory serves me right, 257, something like that, somewhere in that ballpark. It was a 1.4 bi-turbo, so it was quite quick, 0 to 60 in just shy of 5 seconds. Obviously had it mapped. It was pushing at that time 235 brake. After the map, standard they come at 180, so yeah, you could tell how much fun that was to drive. It was my first lease. I got that car at 5,000 miles on the clock. Still had plastic, you know, on some parts of the instruments in the car. I took delivery of it. VW were very kind to me at the start. They delivered the car to my workplace, and I got to drive it home that evening. And yeah, that was pretty much it. I took the cash from the Corsa, added a little bit to it, and then put down a deposit for my lease on the VW. Ownership of that car was great, not too crazy on insurance, had the performance, had the sound, had the character. All I really did to that car was map it though. Didn't do much more because I knew that this car was just a stepping stone. I had the Polo from 4,999 or 5,000 miles, and I had it up to 28,000 miles. Car went back to VW after 2.5 years of ownership, and then onto car number 3. So car number 3, guys, was very short-lived. It was really dear to my heart. Anyone that knows me knows that I have a mad soft spot for minis. I've wanted one for a long time. This car was not a lease. I bought this one outright. Cost me 7 grand. Had 36 miles on the clock, 36,000 miles on the clock. Very mint condition. Just a stroke of bad luck. And I put 7k down, took the car home on a Wednesday, and on Saturday it broke down. The car was telling me I had 3/4 of a tank left, and the sensor was all wrong. It cut me off, in the middle of a residential area, and I had to push the car onto a curb, leave a note on it on like literally 3 days later, and yeah, demanded my money back. They came and picked up the car the next day, told me what the problem was with it, but at that point I just lost interest. So as it stands, I only owned that car for 3 days. Eventually I went back, I got my money back, and the search started all over again, which basically leads me on to car number 4. And this is arguably one of the best cars I've ever owned. Car number 4, ladies and gentlemen, was my Scirocco GT. Straight after the Mini, continued looking, and about 3 or 4 months later, I found a gem of a car in Watford. 19,000 miles on the clock, 58 plate. So at the time, it was 9 years old when I got it. Absolutely pristine condition, full history, full MOT. You can skip back onto previous older YouTube videos and see what I had done to that car. It did make a brief appearance on the channel. That was my first real pride and joy that I actually invested money into. Yes, I owned that car for 2 years on the dot. The cool thing with the Scirocco is I haven't aged that much in terms of through the marks, through the years. My one in particular, because it was so clean, held its value for a long time, and I actually gained coming out of that car. I actually made money. Do I keep it? Do I sell it? I decided to move on. I wanted something a little bit more powerful. I wanted to move on to something else that is German, really nicely built, beautiful to drive, and also residually sound. So the search for an Audi began. I found the S3, had a look at the car, and knew that it would hold its value. And when I found out how much I was making from the Scirocco, obviously the ball was in my court, so to speak, and I kind of had a bit more flexibility with what I was able to put down. So eventually the amount I managed to give the Scirocco back on, I made money on, and that money I put towards a deposit on the S3. So essentially I did a straight swap, mad upgrade, and didn't pay a penny. So that was my car history, guys. I get asked all the time about what cars I've had and how I got to where I am. So I just thought I'd run you guys through a brief history lesson of my car history, my car journey leading up to this point. Over the last 6 years of driving, a total ownership of 5 cars. So, you know, I've never owned a car for longer than 2 years, put it that way. So as soon as I hit residual value, positive equity on a car, I do a straight swap if I am intended to not keep it and go for something else. We'll see where that takes us with the S3. That's again another video, but I just wanted to thank you guys for watching. Thank you for the support. I hope you're enjoying the videos. We're banging them out on a regular basis right now, and I'm really trying my best to deliver you guys the best I have in terms of content and variety, and trying to keep it car related. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. It's been your boy Nibiru92. I'll see you guys in the next one as always. Peace.